Hello everybody, Higor Cavalcante here. Thank you very much for watching this. Thank you very much for being here. I want to start by thanking Talking EFL for this honor, for the honor of inviting me to kick off this beautiful week that starts today. You're going to have a lot of great professionals. I actually have everybody's names here, so I hope you'll forgive me for reading. But we're going to have Tamiris Gama talking about private teachers on the 27th. Rita Ladea talking about continuing professional development on the 28th. Vanessa Valverde talking about bilingual schools on the 29th. Aline Nantes talking about exams and certifications also on the 29th. On the 30th, we have Ariadne Catanzaro talking about private schools. Then Jones Rocha on the 31st talking about public schools. And finally, Eduardo Siemens on the 1st of February talking about private language schools. So what a week, and again, what a privilege to be kicking this off. So thank you very much, Talking EFL, for inviting me. But on behalf of everyone, thank you very much for putting this together. Initiatives like this are incredibly important for our ELT, for Brazilian ELT, and for international ELT. It's really humbling. It's really amazing to see professionals who are so busy, like the people who run Talking EFL, dedicating their time to things like this, to putting events like that together. So this is really phenomenal. Congratulations, and on behalf of everyone, thank you. All right. Now, I was asked, I talked to Rodrigo, and Rodrigo asked me to talk a little bit about planning for 2020 and what it is that I would suggest, or what kind of advice I could give for people to plan ahead for the year. So I think that was a happy coincidence, because this is something I've been thinking about a lot, of course, from a personal point of view, what it is that I want to do in 2020, and how to actually make sure that this is going to happen. Yeah. So I decided that I was going to talk about 5 things. So I'm going to talk about 5 things that I think are immensely important, and which are things that I want to do in 2020 for my own professional development. All right. So let's see if you'll agree. At the end of this, I'm going to ask Rodrigo to give you my email address. If you want to discuss any of these things, if there's anything that or if you have any questions about any of the things I'm going to talk about, I'd be more than happy to discuss them with you. All right, so let's see. So the first thing is, I've been thinking a lot about my own professional development. I've been working very, very, very much in the past few years. I'm sure you have as well. And sometimes it's really hard to keep track of what's going on, and to improve and to study and so on. So what I have decided I'm going to do, and I think this is very important to plan, to actually write in your schedule, put that in your schedule every week, is to dedicate 30 minutes every day to studying. Yeah. So I made a list of things that I think I need to know more about, that I think, well, that would be everything, obviously, but there's always more to know about everything. But I think some of the areas within ELT that I think I really need to dedicate more time to are, first, SLA theories. So I want to read more, I want to study more about second language acquisition. So this is something that I really am interested in. And sometimes I'm not sure how much I actually know about them. So I want to read a little bit more about that. I bought a couple of books, and I've already started, by the way, reading 30 minutes every day. Another topic that I really want to dedicate more time to, and I think is extremely important, is assessment. So I'm friends with Natalia Guerreiro, for example, who's one of the people in the country that know more about assessment. And the truth is, I can't really have a conversation with Natalia about assessment because honestly, I don't know much about the theory underlying assessment. So this is something that I really want to read more about, and I've been trying to do that as well. So 30 minutes every day dedicated to reading about ELT. I think this is something I should have been doing always, but unfortunately life gets in the way, work gets in the way, but I've actually been planning that 30 minutes every day to dedicate to reading about ELT. And you know what? It has already paid off. I already feel that I'm a little bit more confident, and perhaps I can have a more interesting conversation with Natalia now about assessment. But there's still a lot to read. Okay, the second thing is going to sound a bit obvious. I work with TESOL, the Brazilian Association of TESOL. And I really think it's very important to attend teachers' conferences. This is, it's a great opportunity to do some networking, to learn from our peers, to see some of our ELT heroes. So I think this is something that I want to do in 2020 more than I did in 2019. In 2018, I went to a lot of different teachers' conferences in many places in Brazil. I went to EFL, but unfortunately last year, things were just so mad, so busy that I missed most of the events that I wish I had attended. And I'm planning on not doing that this year. It's not easy. It's expensive sometimes. For instance, I'm going to EFL now in April, and it's not easy as a freelancer, as I'm sure you know. You have to pay for the ticket in 10, 12 installments, and it's not easy. But I've been to EFL a few times, and every single time I came back home so inspired and changed as a teacher, as a professional, that I really think it's worth trying to make it possible. I mean, to make the effort to save money, to pay in 1 million installments, to make sure that we can attend an event such as this one. But this year specifically, in 2020, we have the TESOL International Conference in São Paulo, and it's going to be an absolutely phenomenal event. So, of course, I would say that, but it really is going to be great. We're going to have Isabella Villas-Boas as an opening plenary speaker. We're going to have Scott Thornbury as a closing plenary speaker. And I think that having the opportunity to see these incredibly inspirational people talk is motivating. You know, it makes us want to do more, to study more, to go to events more. So this is one of the most important things I'm planning for this year, is to participate in every event I have the opportunity to participate. And that includes, of course, online things as well. This includes participating in webinars, participating in online discussions on pages like Brelt, the Brelt chats, for example. I simply didn't have a chance to participate in many of them last year, and I do want to participate more. So I think I don't know if this happens to you as well, but what constantly happens to me is I always think, okay, next week I'm going to start doing these things again. I mean, on Monday I'm going to start doing these things again, but then on Monday I have 12 hours of class to teach, and things get very difficult. So I'm trying to organize myself better by writing everything down. I mean, what are the good webinars? What are the interesting events that I want to take part in? Write down when they're going to happen, so that I'm not going to be double booked at the time, so that I'm not going to schedule anything else for that time. It's not easy, but I think one thing that helps me is to actually write stuff down. So number 2 is go to absolutely every event for teachers that I can. Now, number 3, if you know me, I mean, if we've ever talked, you know that there is one area within ELT I'm pretty obsessed about, and that is development, language development for teachers. I think that we, as language professionals, we need to constantly be working on our language development. And although I talk a lot about this, and now we have a lot of professionals talking about that as well, which is marvelous and makes me very happy. I think that maybe in 2019 I failed a little bit regarding my own language development. First and foremost, I think the best exercise there is for us to improve our English, the best thing you can do is read. So reading is the most complete language learning exercise there is, I think. And although I did read quite a bit, I read a lot less than I normally do. So I have a deal with myself this year. Apart from 30 minutes of reading about ELT, I don't go to bed without reading at least 10 pages every day, 10 pages of a book that's not ELT related. So for example, this year I finished a book called Stand Firm, and at the moment I am reading, well, I'm reading quite a few books actually. This is something I probably need to change, to concentrate on one or two books at a time. But I actually read the page number when I start reading on the day, and I won't stop until I've read at least 10 pages. So of course I'm turning pleasure, I mean something that I do for fun, something that I love doing, into an obligation. But I think that it's the least I can do, thinking of my students, even thinking of the professionals who rely on me to help them develop their language. I think I owe this to them. I mean, I need to work on my development as well. And reading is a great way of doing that. But also, a suggestion I would give regarding language development is every time you're going to teach, for instance, a lesson on used to, rather than just reading the summary that you have at the back of the course book, get a more advanced grammar book and read thoroughly about that. For example, is used to the same thing as would when you're talking about past habits? How are they different, if they're different? And are there exceptions, you see? You're going to teach third conditional. Is there perhaps an element of pronunciation there that's very important? Do some research into that. So you're going to have to teach your lessons, right? So we can use our lessons as opportunities for studying, but not just the summary at the back of the book. There's nothing wrong, of course, with the summary at the back of the course book, but we could use the things that we are going to have to teach and allow them to surprise us, because sometimes we think we know everything there is to know about simple present. And then in class we're surprised by a question we had never thought about, and we don't know. For instance, can I use the simple present to talk about the past? Yes, we can. And when do I do that? Is there a difference in register? You see, so first suggestion was read at least 10 pages of a book every single day. Make sure you read 12 books a year, at least in English, a book a month. I mean, that's going to help immensely. You'll see. Try that. You'll see how much of a difference that's going to make. And the second suggestion, I'd say, is use what you have to teach as an opportunity to study. Allow the language you know, the language you think you know everything about, allow it to surprise you. So study, even if it's simple present, even if it's verb to be. For example, verb to be, I'm going to teach verb to be. Is the affirmative form of the verb to be, is it going to be stressed in a sentence, or is it always going to be weak? So think about it. There's always something more to study regarding absolutely everything we teach. So since time's at a premium, we don't really have a lot of time, do we? So use your lesson preparation to study English. Okay, the fourth one is perhaps going to be a bit messy, but I'm going to try. Partnerships. Partnerships are very important. We've been, several ELT professionals have been teaming up to deliver courses, to to do interesting things together, to write articles together. And I think this is a beautiful thing. Several of us today in ELT do not work for schools. Yes, we have a lot of freelancers out there. So for example, this is my school. This is my office at home. And although I'm talking to people all the time, every day, I miss very much. I really do. If there's one thing I miss about schools, working for schools, at schools, is a teacher's room. Is the environment of a teacher's room and having teachers to have a cup of coffee with every day. I'm working on a CELTA now at Cultura, and being able to interact with these phenomenal tutors I'm working with at the moment. And I'm going to mention them by name because they're wonderful. So Wilson Portillo, Andrea Zacchimi, and Higor, Ricardo Mucciolo, and Ana Maria Lemos. I mean, and so working with these people every day is marvelous. So having the chance to discuss what we do with somebody is wonderful. But then as of February, I'm back to my online work, and I'm back to being, well, alone, as it were. Yeah. So these partnerships are really important. And I'm not talking only about getting together with peers to teach courses or getting together with peers to write articles, but perhaps observing each other's classes. Peer observation is something that I'm a big fan of, and I think that we should be doing more. Perhaps, okay, I have a problem with my private lesson with a private student. Get the student's authorization, perhaps record part of the class, share it with a friend who's also a private teacher and who can perhaps give you some advice, some input on what you can do to improve on that lesson. So if you're a freelance professional like I am, invest in partnerships. Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking again only about getting together to create courses. I'm talking about sharing, getting together to learn from one another. Even if it's online, but bouncing ideas off friends. Yeah, so I think this can be immensely helpful. And I've had the privilege. I've been very lucky to work with some really great people recently, and this makes us grow. It's fascinating, really, to sometimes ask for advice, ask a question to a friend. You're really stumped. You really don't know what you're going to do about a student. You really don't know what you're going to do about something. And then somebody suggests something to you that's just perfect. So if there's one thing I want to do much more of in 2020 is talk to my friends, talk to my colleagues about my work, and partner up and try and see what I do from other people's perspective. I told you that this was going to be a little bit messy, but it's clear to me. I hope I've managed to somehow make it clear for you. All right, and to finish, the fifth thing is work-life balance. I know that the very concept of work-life balance might sound a bit complicated for a teacher, right? I mean, we work all the time. We're in the cinema and we're working. We're thinking, oh my God, I could use that in a class. But I have recently not had much time to take care of me. You know, I mean, we put on weight. We get sick, and we're stressed, and yeah, I said we, but it's I on every count. I have been very stressed. I've put on weight. I got sick a lot last year, pneumonia and whatnot, and I decided that in 2020 I'm gonna work a lot because there's no alternative really is there. But I think we need to remember, and I've been trying to remember that we have to take care of ourselves, of our body, of our mind. So first thing I'm going to do as soon as Celta is finished is do a complete checkup, and I'm going to do this absolutely every year. Go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week. It's not easy, but it doesn't have to be the gym either. You know, you can just go for a walk around your neighborhood as you listen to a podcast, or I don't know, prepare a lesson in your mind, but you can do that on the move. So this is one thing that I neglected a lot last year, my health. And it's difficult to say that, but also time with my daughter. You know, I have a daughter. If you don't have children, I'm sure you have pets, you have family, you have friends, you have people who are important to you, whom you haven't seen much in a while. So I think this is the type of thing that we have to stop leaving for next week. We have to stop living for next week, because we're never going to be less busy. I think that's the truth. We're always saying next year I'm going to work a little less, and then I'm going to work out a little more. But then next year you're just as busy as you were the year before, and the year before, and the year before. So we need to start, I think, investing time, planning time to walk for an hour every day, to see and have a cup of coffee with friends on the weekend, every weekend, and invest in us as people a little bit too. We talk a lot about professional development, but how about personal development? And by that I don't really mean becoming a better person, although that would be great, but taking better care of our health. Yes. So work-life balance is something that, although it's my 5th tip for you, suggestion, topic for conversation here today, it's actually #1 priority on my list for 2020, to take better care of myself, to spend more time with my daughter and my wife and my friends, and to have more time to watch Netflix, to sleep, to do nothing, to have a cup of coffee. So I think we need to plan that as well. Our well-being cannot be something that we worry about when we have time, because we won't have time. So plan your well-being as well. I'm gonna share, to finish, I'm going to share what I am trying to do, with some success. Hopefully it'll be more successful from February, but you see, I'm doing that. In February, things are going to be different, but go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week. If I can't go to the gym, go for a walk around the neighborhood. I've been working in ELT for 21 years, and from this year onwards, I'm not going to work on Saturdays anymore. I know this is not easy, and when we work for a school, it's non-negotiable usually. So maybe it's not going to be the Saturday for you, but perhaps it could be Friday, or Sunday, or I don't know, Monday morning, something like that. But I'm taking Saturdays off. I'm taking Saturdays off, to not reply to emails, to not do absolutely anything but go to the park with my daughter, sleep, read for fun. Yeah, so I think this is incredibly important. I really hope I'm going to succeed in that. Okay? Anyway, take better care of yourselves, read, go to conferences, make friends, interact with your friends, and above everything else, have a fantastic 2020. Happy New Year. And I don't know if this was what Talking EFL wanted from me, but I have to say to you that I had a great time recording these videos, and I hope that, well, this video, it's just that I recorded it in segments, but I hope that you found something useful here for you for the new year. So have a very happy new year. find time for yourself and enjoy this beautiful week that begins today. See you, people. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.